Tamwah is an Indigenous songwoman, beatmaker, producer, healer, visual artist, and a dreamweaver currently based in Byron Bay, Australia. A lover of hip hop, samba, and all things tropical. Powered by plants, Tamwah is a soul rebel activating positive change through music. Welcome to the Conscious Creators Series, brought to you by New Earth Arising. I'm Kattimoni.
And I'm Exodus.
And our mission is to uplift and empower you to liberate your creative potential.
Master your mindset, raise your vibration, and bring your visions to life.
This is for the visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and the soul elevators, artists of life, yeah, movers and shakers, heart-centered, change makers, visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and the soul elevators, artists of life, yeah, movers and shakers, heart-centered, change makers.
Welcome, Tamwah. Welcome to
Tamwah.
Conscious Creators Series. So great to have you here today.
Yeah.
So wonderful to be here with you both.
Blessings. So, tell us, what are some of the foundational experiences that really have led to the inspiration behind what you do and what you share with the world today? And we'd just love to hear more about what has shaped your journey as an artist and as a healer.
Yeah, okay. My mum and my dad are first up on the ranks of what shaped my journey. I grew up in a house where my mum was playing piano almost every night, my dad singing with her, and out of three children, I was the one that fell into the music, and I would sing with my dad. Yeah. So Mum's record collection was pretty sweet too. So we had lots of influences from like Aretha Franklin and, just a lot of soul, a lot of the Beatles as well. And then really, really strong, my mum had a really strong connection with South American music. So Elisa Regina and Sergio Mendes. We had lots of records that I just grew up listening to, and I think that that's really informed my feel and taste for different sounds.
Yeah. Nice,
because you have such an eclectic sound, and you have such a diversity of influences that I can hear in your music. Like I hear, this kind of soulful, jazzy kind of sound tone in your voice, and then obviously like the hip hop, and then you've got all these like tropical rhythms and influences, from the Caribbean and from Brazil. So when I tune into your music, I really feel that melting pot of inspiration. And I know you also come from a really interesting cultural background as well, Aboriginal, European, Afro-Portuguese, and Sinhalese heritage too. So how has all of this diversity of culture, I know you've traveled a lot too, you're a global traveler, and you've been out there in the world. So how do you feel this, this diversity of cultures have influenced like your creative identity, but also your process too?
Yeah, I definitely think, I've reflected a lot on whether, because I'm so such a mixed race person, whether that in itself, inside, really inside the spirit and the blood, informs a lot of my experiences and my what I naturally gravitate towards, or is it from a spiritual perspective where my spirit has chose, going just that little bit deeper, maybe my spirits chose this experience, and the combinations, everything is perfectly just right, the perfect melody that makes up my essence to be able to be here in this life and move through and have the experiences like that I've had. I don't, for me, that's kind of like a chicken and the egg question. It's that sort of feeling. I think that definitely when it comes to like, yeah, early childhood, like in the womb, that kind of stuff, what your parents are listening to, what my mum was listening to. I have a lot of memories from being really tiny. And I think that the music has helped me with that. And definitely, yeah, just going off point a little bit, but, you know, I have memories of being like a little 2-year-old and, and remembering looking through my eyelashes, thinking, knowing my connection with nature and spirit and my ancestors, and saying, I'm never going to forget this feeling, and programming myself, because I realized at that young age that the importance of that programming, because you get programmed, was like, I really wanted to program myself. So I think that that's been a fundamental part of the building of my human adult self. So choosing what I want to, what colors I like, what I want to wear, what I listen to, what I eat, what I surround myself with, that's all been part of informing the artist that and the healer that I am.
Yeah, may I ask?
I love that.
What type of healing do you do? Seeing that you're a healer.
Yeah, so I do energy healing, but also physical body work too. So for the last 25 plus years, I've been really deep into metaphysics and learning things from lomi massage, like traditional Hawaiian massage, through to remedial massage, shiatsu, lots of different things over the years, and as energy healing techniques.
Nice.
Yeah. And without that, that would just be half of me walking around if I didn't have that. That's really created a bigger picture of myself.
So that was with you like from the very beginning, or that's something that you developed, you know, along with your musical journey? How did that healing aspect of you come about?
Yeah, good question. My grandma, so my mum's mum, so the Aboriginal side, she's really always used food. Like her garden had lots of different herbs in it, and she taught me about using crystals, in particular amethyst, as a little kid to help me from astral traveling, because I constantly was astral traveling. And I think I was just very open psychically. As a little kid, just naturally, and my brother and my sister too. And I think I actually thought the whole world was like that, to be honest, as you do when you're a little kid. And yeah, so I guess spending a lot of time with my nana really, I guess, educated me and gave me a foundation. And then by the time I was 14, I was already enrolled in meditation courses and distant healing courses. I started really young.
Nice.
Wow.
Awesome.
Wow. That's incredible. It sounds like you've had some really powerful women and powerful elders in your life to guide you on this journey. And I love what you were saying about just, you know, you just thought that the whole world was like that. And like what you said about just always having an awareness of having that choice and being able to program yourself. That's so powerful, right? And that's something that I feel like so many people are just waking up to right now and in all areas of their life. So having that from a child, just knowing that you are a conscious creator, what was it like for you growing up with that sense of empowerment and your ability to just create yourself and your own programs in that way?
Well, I guess it was pretty amazing. Like I grew up at the foothills of Mount Dandenong Ranges, lots of bush. My brother and I were very close in age. And so we spent a lot of time just going bush. We were always in nature, climbing trees, that kind of thing. And I think that from living like quite naturally, spending as much time in nature, that's really helped to foster that part in myself as well. And everything that I was seeing, he was seeing. So the fact that like I had a buddy, you know, it really strengthened that is a true reality, that, you know, spirit and some of the energies that we saw were frightening as crap, to be fair, like some of the warrior spirits and protectors, but we saw them together. So I think that really strengthens your sense of being able to, oh, there's something bigger than this like 3D. What is it? And then to be able to, I guess as a child, I was just curious and able to feel my connection still with Creator. Like I was very shy too, so it's interesting. I was very, very shy, very telepathic with my brother and my sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think
incredible. Sounds like you've always just had this kind of open channel to, you know, to creation and to creative energy. And I read something in your bio that I really resonated about. You mentioned growing up in the bush and spending a lot of time in nature, and that's a place that you really love to create from. And I also grew up in a, you know, on the land and really close to nature. And it reminded me a lot of my own creative process of just tuning in and listening and kind of, you know, channeling melodies and rhythms and sounds from nature. And you mentioned there was something beautiful that you wrote in your bio about listening to the voices of your ancestors come through. So I was wondering, can you share a little bit about what your creative process is like? And do you have any, you know, special rituals or practices or just things that you do to help you just drop into that state and get into your creative flow zone?
great question. Definitely breath seems to be the key. So like really doing a somatic breathing brings me right into my being. Walking on the beach, like I live 2 streets from the beach, so it's very easy access. I've created a wonderful situation that I can just walk out and be barefoot. And when I drop into nature, and often I do a walking meditation on the beach, just talking to my ancestors, asking them to support me and protect me and to guide me, and thanking them. Like it's always about gratitude. Like, yeah, because they do so much. And I know that when I ask for it, because it's an active co-creation that's happening, like with spirit, with my ancestors, it's really important to actually ask for, instead of just being like, oh, I wish that would happen, actively asking. And I have conversations like I have conversations just like that with them every day. So it's been really important for me to strengthen my connection with them. And I've lost quite a few people that have been really close to me. So my husband and my father passed a couple of years ago, and they're just there waiting for jobs, waiting to like shower love on me. And so the more I talk to them and tell them what I'm carrying and give it to them, the smoother my transitions are between whatever I'm doing. And also, yeah, I think a lot of the time that they give me a lot of inspiration, whether it's lyrically or like hearing actual bass lines or keys parts or whatever. I get that from them.
Yeah, awesome.
Amazing. I love what you say about it being a co-creation. And I feel like sometimes as like creatives or entrepreneurs, we can be so focused on, you know, what we want to achieve or what we're trying to create, and we can kind of forget that we're not in this alone, that we're actually like co-creating this with the universe and with the ancestors, and it's this whole kind of dialogue and exchange that's happening in the process. So I really love the way you phrase that experience.
So we were fortunate to be part of this new album, this new project called Love Like Water. It's the the single, I think probably I would call it the hit single on the album. I don't know if I could call
Yes.
it that.
Yeah, for
Check it out on
sure.
iTunes and Spotify. Everyone, make sure you download it.
Right, the hit single. Could you give us a feeling of, your vision behind this new project? Your mission. Also, tell us a little bit about, the inspiration behind the actual single. The ideas that came. What made you come up with this concept called Love Like Water?
Okay, yeah, cool. And it's been a blessing to work with you both because you're such incredible artists. So wonderful. And you can feel the frequency of your connection to spirit. Like it's undeniable. And that is amazing. That's wonderful. Because it's all about transmission, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, in regards to the album, so the Love Like Water album, the concept was I'd been sitting back and watching a lot happening with water on the planet, and in particularly Adani, watching corporations buying up land that they don't own from governments that don't own it. Especially here, I'm very linked in with what's going on, and
Okay.
I felt like I wanted to do something. I felt like it's really a duty, a responsibility to actively do something. And I'd signed petitions, I've given money, I've done those sorts of things, and it just made sense to me. For being Aboriginal, water is a woman's business, and so it made sense to tune in. Water is everyone's business. I don't want to seem like, but yeah, on one level, water is a woman's business. So I really wanted to grab the reins and allow that the energy of water, and like the Wodjina and Warrajumba and Oshun and Yamaja and these other entities, these other I guess spirits that represent water in its many forms, to come through and to inform what's happening on the planet and inform through music.
Yeah.
But with also not having, it felt really important to not be like super tight and rigid and controlling on the whole idea. It was like I needed to flow too.
Yeah.
This is about water, and it's about the two things that we can't live without: love and water. Humans would just perish without both. So yeah, you can't be like on either.
Not to cross you, but only today I had to be carrying jugs of water for my Vincentian family because of the eruption, because they need water right now. So a friend of mine, we had to arrange, for water to go to the island,
Wow.
because they're in desperate need of water as well.
Exactly. And it's like this is what keeps turning up all over the planet. People in desperate need of clean water. Seems so crazy that we are even struggling with this issue still in 2021. That of all the richness that we have, of all the technology, it seems so, it doesn't make sense to my being that should be an issue for any living soul on the planet, but it is. And so therefore, as a creator, I feel like it's a responsibility to use the platforms my platform, I'll just speak for myself, to use my platform to be an advocate for water and for land and for minorities that are struggling as much as possible. And I definitely, in Australia, we have had, it's been very slow for Indigenous artists to come up in and be seen. It's only really in the last 2 years that it's starting to turn around, which is wonderful. We're finally getting to hear. And part of that, from what I've experienced of being in the music industry here for the last 20 years, is that, like if you don't see people that look like you doing these things, you're not going to reach out for it. You're not going to step into it. You need to see people that represent you. And Aboriginal people can look many different ways now, like myself, or even blonde hair. We can be so different, but if we don't see ourselves, we never step forward. So we're starting to see ourselves. And I think with Love Like Water, I wanted to create an opportunity for different Aboriginal artists as well, Indigenous artists. First, I was thinking of, you know, my people, to be able to create an opportunity where they can see themselves, and because water is reflective too, keep seeing themselves, keep seeing it over and over, and flowing until that river becomes a stream that goes down into the ocean, and we have a big pool of just beautiful people, just amazing artists. We don't have to then be sectioned off like we have been. So that's been a big intention with the album as well.
Awesome.
So powerful and so important to be able to create that representation, and to be able to really, like, something I love about you as an artist is the way that you really embody love, and the way that you bring that into what you're doing. And I feel like, you know, it was a real honor and a real pleasure in working with you. And I feel like something that we align with is our intention to use music and to use our creativity as a catalyst for creating change, or for, you know, transformation, or, you know, actively sending a transmission or a message, you know, being a voice for something. And I know you've been involved really heavily with, you know, mentoring young Indigenous girls through different hip hop and songwriting programs and community projects that you've been involved with. So, yeah, I'm curious, share with us a little bit about, you know, how have you seen music be a tool for transformation in the work that you do personally, but also as, you know, in that facilitator role? How have you seen that power being able to transmit and be used in that way?
That's a nice question. So definitely with the youth, time and time again, I've seen, like, I've come into schools, remote schools, and working with just the Aboriginal kids, and they're all the bad kids, like so many labels. And, you know, they're sitting in a circle and no one's looking up, no one's looking at you, no one is looking at each other. They're so disconnected, and shame, that's the big word that is carried. And once I saw that, was like, oh, the shame, I've carried that too for a lot of my life. It's something that's been like stuck on to the outside of me, but I've carried it maybe also through the inside too, being like colonized, coming from a colonized history on both sides. So yeah, I could really see that, like, through one showing up, like really just showing up and being there as like a big ear. That's how I see myself, is be a big ear, show up and be that big ear. And then, like, I noticed that the kids, or girls in particular, start to feel like somebody's actually acknowledging them, somebody's seeing them, somebody's actually listening. And it's through that things start to change. And using hip hop's been great, because everyone can relate to hip hop. You know, it speaks to so many people. And I always love it when I see these rhymes come out of the youth. Like, they're just full of inspiration. It's almost like they're just waiting for somebody to listen to them, to acknowledge them. And I think that that's how music, in a nutshell, like watching somebody in an 8-week or 10-week program being like this every time they're in class or in a workshop, to being like fully, their face, their spirit is engaged, they're in there, you know, they've never had a chance to even like wear headphones and sing on a microphone before. A lot of it's new experiences, and I think sometimes in those new experiences, that is also what, you know, somebody believes in me enough to give me this opportunity. That brings them out too. Yeah, so yeah, having someone be a cheerleader for you is really powerful.
Yeah, most definitely. Support. yeah, support is always, you know, something crucial as an artist. Yeah, as a human being, you know. I guess, you know, we often try to find that power within, but, you know, sometimes it's good for someone else to really ignite that power or give us some sort of advice to help us really to get through, you know, in this life.
Yeah, 100.
Absolutely. Like I feel like transformation, it happens in communities, you know, and whilst we live in this world that is super, you know, selfie focused, it's you know, when we're able to have those big shifts and express ourselves and be seen and be heard and be validated and have people in our corner, you know, have a team and a crew. Like that's why I find like our coaching programs are so valuable, and because it's like not everybody has grown up with, you know, that nature of support in their families or their communities, and having a team, particularly as creators, as you said, to like give that validation and that reflection, even when you're talking about, you know, that connection with spirit growing up and being able to share that with your you know, with your, was it your cousin you mentioned? So
with my brother, yeah.
With your brother, yeah. So being able to share that experience and also like cultivate our inner cheerleaders too, right? Like that inner champion celebration voice of like, you can do this. And I'm curious, Nick, my next question is for you, like, what have been some of the biggest challenges or obstacles for you as a creator, as an Indigenous woman in this industry? And if you could give some advice to your younger self, or even to, you know, young emerging creators who are just, you know, starting to put their things out there, or who are just kind of tapping into their visions and wanting to share, what kind of advice would you give to them in how to maybe navigate some of those obstacles that you've been through?
Yeah, okay. So some of the bigger challenges, I mean, some of it I think is being a woman in the industry here, growing up as a woman in the industry and not really being heard or valued or seen, no matter what you turn up with. That was a challenge originally, and I hope that shifted. Like I'm not experiencing that now, but I hope that shifted for the like young youth emerging people that are coming through, that they don't have that situation anymore, because that's pretty redunculous. And yeah, I guess as Aboriginal, like, so I've just got back from the Resonate program with Natsimo down in Sydney, and that was all 13, 14 Aboriginal artists all invited to come together and collaborate on songs. Absolutely amazing experience. And from that, it just reminded me again, there's something that happens that it just is when we're together. There's a lot of things that don't need to go on, that we just chime in and create wonderful music together. So I think it's really important to have people that you can really vibe with. Like, there's probably been times where both of you have had a band where you love everybody in the band, but maybe you don't vibe with everybody, and that's okay. But if you've got somebody close, I'm just talking to my younger self here, or anyone that up and coming, if you've got someone that is creative with you that you can really vibe with, that is just going to strengthen you both and your journey so much more. Yeah, every time I get together with Aboriginal artists to write music or just to hang out, there's something that happens that it's not it can't go into words. It's just a vibe that happens, and it's beautiful, and it fills me up with so much. And that's not to discount anyone else. There's always love with so many people, but I just noticed that there's a natural something that clicks in.
Awesome.
Yeah. So younger self, yeah, definitely buddy up with somebody. We're not meant to do this alone, you know. And I think also getting, I want to sound like a mum. Maybe one day I will be one. But yeah, what you put into your body is really important. So, you know, if you're fueling your body with good stuff, like I've been vegan for a really long time. So to me, like fueling yourself on clean food, all that processed stuff, I think really messes with our thoughts and our perhaps what we carry on ourselves as well. And it can send you like this. So if you're a young'un, you know, try and tune into what your body really wants to eat, really needs to fuel itself to be the best creator that you can be, and sustain that energy.
Awesome. Right. So, what would you say are the 3 highest values, and how do they inform your work?
Woo! Highest values, honesty. So being transparent within dealings with people, within I guess what I write about. So it's harder for me to write about like a pop sort of content.
Okay.
It's much easier for me to like write about what I see, and I see a lot of different things going on, from challenges, or you know, it's much easier for me to write about that. So I think, yeah, speaking the truth, creating with that as an intention, that's one. I really value collaboration. I think, you know, there's me, there's you guys, and in between us, there's a third energy that could be missed if we weren't feeding it. And that third energy is absolute golden. And that's the best part of you guys and the best part of me come together. And I love that. And I think from that place, real change can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good answers.
Yeah, this is such a juicy conversation. I've been getting chills while you're talking. I'm just like, yes, yes, yes.
Good questions.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that I wanted to explore with you, one thing that I go through in my creator coaching program, and I work with a lot of creators with, is learning how to transform the challenges or the hardship, or you know, the traumas, or the, you know, the struggles that we go through in life, and learn how to alchemize that so that it strengthens us, and so that it, you know, it allows us to expand and empowers us, rather than, you know, disempowers us or leaves us in the past. So I read in your bio that you lost your husband back in 2010, and your creative partner as well. And you mentioned how it was such a catalyst for your own journey of self-love and healing. And I'm curious, you know, I'd love to just hear, like, how did going through such a tragic experience, how did you manage to move through such a tragic experience and allow yourself to continue expanding spiritually and creatively? What was the key?
So yeah, that's a good question. So we're just going back there. So it was a sudden thing as well. It wasn't like he was dying of an illness that was coming up over time. It was in the ocean. So again, like I have a very I've always had a very interesting connection with water. I've also drowned myself when I was a kid, so I know what it's like to cross over and go through a tunnel and meet somebody on the other side. That was my experience. So when Sean passed, it was very quick, and at the same time, I was actually having a healing with my rebirthing healing lady, and I was under the ocean. Same time, all I could see was the sunlight coming through the water. And it was very strange because it's not normally there's a lot that goes on in those sessions. And when I came out, we both felt weird. And something had shifted and something had changed, and we could feel something but didn't know what that was. And it was a really hectic experience, like when you lose somebody tragically, like suddenly. There were so many layers to it. Like I live in a small town where it became news, and everybody like had seen a picture of my face and his face on the paper or the news or whatever. And so there was this weird aspect of like pity, looks of pity that was hard. That was actually really difficult for me to deal with. People crossing the road, people, you know, you go to the shop and you don't know the person, but they chime in and say, oh, your husband, what was he doing swimming there? Saying weird comments, you know, really inappropriate stuff was going on for quite a while. And that was what really difficult as I was like in the full shock of what had happened and having to get his body back to the States for, you know, what his family required over there. And yeah, we were working on so much music together. That was like one of the gels of our connection, constantly working on. He was an incredible rhymer and lyricist. So yeah, I think that from that experience, I feel him just like he's with me all the time still, cheering me on to move forward. And there was a moment, I remember being in Nashville, Tennessee, because we're taking his body back over there to Mississippi for his funeral. And there was a moment I was with my mum and my best friend, and I don't normally drink, but I drank some tequila and I was real sick. And I just needed to like get something out of my being. You know, it wasn't like I'd gone smashing lots of alcohol, but it was literally at that point I needed to, it was so disgusting what was being held inside me, the shock, the pressures of having to raise money to be able to like get your husband, we'd only been married 11 weeks, his body back, a family that didn't really accept me as, you know, they thought that I was a temporary idea, that maybe their Sean would come back to America. There was a lot to carry at that stage. And I think my mum was really great. And I think from that experience, sorry, I'm digressing a little bit, just went on a little.
No worries.
It's all part of the story. It's all part of the journey with you.
Yeah. So from that experience, I could have gone down a path of, and a lot of people said, I don't know how you just picked up the ball and kept going, but there's no option. Like you can't put down the ball. I know for some people they can, and that's their journey. But for me, I just couldn't put it down. Like literally, I think because I'd fostered such good connections with spirit, I picked up smoking and I had him come up to me and say, T, what, you want to kill yourself too? Like, I'm dead. You want to kill yourself too? And I was like, man, seriously, I'm just like trying to have a moment to get through this and get over this. Like so many times the comedy as well as like the love and yeah, his big presence has come through and just, I guess, supported me through this. I felt like for him, I was an earth angel, and my family showing him a lot of love and experiences that he had wanted to experience as a soul. And since he's crossed over, he's been an angel for me, just really bringing me into alignment and also helping to steer me as well, so that things that aren't really for my highest good, it's easier for me to see that, you know, sometimes there's wolves in sheep's clothing, and it's great to have someone, or, you know, it's great to have that connection in spirit to see and know into the deeper hearts of things quicker. So I missed the end of the question because it was, so I've given you a long-winded answer.
No, it was perfect and it was beautiful. You know, it was like, what are some of the keys that helped you alchemize that experience from being tragic to being something that empowered you? And you answered it beautifully in terms of your, you know, your connection with the spiritual realm and, you know, maintaining that communication with him, you know, in the spiritual world, and being able to almost, like, what I hear is like almost use his guidance, you know, to keep the ball going, like to keep everything, you know, on track for you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it took me a while to get back into music. Like, I'd lost my voice to sing because of the shock. It just disappeared. And yeah, but I also really felt like at that time that I wanted to do something with community and families because I needed that for myself. So, and I had friends starting to ask me things like, will you teach my kids capoeira, me and my kids capoeira? So I was like, sure, because it's something that I love. And it was body movement, that body movement, and having a little community. I had this lovely little community of a couple of parents and a couple of kids that would get together once a week and move ourselves. And something about watching parents with their kids, like being fully present, that was really helpful for me. Because I think it, like, from that experience, my inner child just, like, you know, I lost my best friend as well as my creative partner as well as my husband, like all in one foul sweep. It was like, what? The idea of family too. Yeah. So it was a lot in one go.
And
And
I'm sure it, you know, it developed you and, you know, helped you into a stronger person. You know, you've been making albums, you've been making music. Could you explain to us one of your songs, a song called Children of Ra? I was just vibing to it earlier. I don't know if you could just, you know.
We were playing your music before. We've been pumping up the Tamwah through the speakers.
So I don't know if you could just explain to us, you know, that song.
Yeah, so definitely, like, that song is about so much atrocity that's happening to children across the planet. And I know it sounds like a really happy song too, and I love, like, all the different musical vibes that are in there. And I wanted, cool, thank you. I wanted to create a song that had a message that could be like, yeah, something, shed some light on what's going on with, like, sex trafficking of children, children having access to guns but not having access to food. And just the corruption in, you know, our leaders are corrupt, and stolen generation as well. Second verse is about my own experience, stolen generation stuff. But I didn't want it to be a down tempo song. I think it's really also felt like it was really important to make it upbeat, like to give it hope. We are the ones. Like, it's us that need to change. It's us. Like, it's almost like that's the mantra. That's the affirmation. It's us.
Look in the mirrors.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And like the whole grab your hat, it's time to run. That line's all about, like, that's actually about the system, what's created. It's like, we have to get out of this. Like, you know, we don't have time to grab all of our belongings. Just get that one thing and let's go. Now is the time.
Now's the time. Yeah. Activate. And I feel that in your music. I feel that kind of call for activation. And yeah, thank you so much for connecting with us today.
Thank you.
Tamwah, you're so inspirational. You're such a powerhouse woman. you're so talented and creative in so many different areas. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure just to connect with you today. And thank you for just showing up and being so real and taking us into those deep places. And you're just sharing inspiration with us. I feel like this conversation has been really alive. And
Thanks.
yeah, so where can people connect with you after this show? Where can they download your music? Where can they find out more about what you're doing and Love Like Water and your healings and all of your work? How can they connect with you?
Well, so you can find me on Spotify under Tamwah, Bandcamp, same deal. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Tamwah Dreamweaver, and also just on my website at tamwah.co.
Okay.
Nice and
Beautiful.
easy. Yeah.
Awesome.
Before you go, I don't know if you want to drop any lyrics for the community, any lyrics for the world, any positive vibes you want to send out there before you
They
go.
put you on the spot.
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to give you this one. It's an oldie, but it's just always true.
Yeah.
You got to be strong. You got to be brave. You got to live your life that way. And you better love yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, I love it.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.
Blessings.
Honestly, like you guys, what you're doing together is a beautiful force of change and upliftment. So I really see you and I really value that. So thank you for having me on your podcast.
Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Conscious Creators.
Yeah, you can follow New Earth Arising on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
And check out our website, neweartharising.com, to learn more about our coaching programs and our merchandise.
Yeah, it's your boy Exodus.
And your girl Kattimoni.
Keep rising, keep shining. Yo, peace.
This is for the visionary people, the conscious creators, leaders of love and